Hello. All right. Everyone, just waiting for folks to join. Okay. Okay, it's 1 minute past 12:30, so we're gonna get started. Hi everyone, this is the llm-d community call. We don't have anyone from OSPO today, so I'll just start by sharing some quick updates, and then we'll dive into the open forum as usual. A couple of topics already listed here. Feel free to add your topic if you want to address anything, and then you're going to do the SIG updates as usual. So just getting started. So one item from last week was on the SIG team owners. So you see here that this was mapped. There are SIG owners identified for each one of the SIGs. If you have questions or updates or anything like that, please follow up on Slack or one of the documents. That was an action item from last week. So we made progress here. Again, comments, do reach out. If there is anyone from OSPO that wants to chime in, I know that Pete is out today. I don't know if JJ is here, but if not, you're going to move on. Starting open forum now. Again, we mentioned a few times about this survey. It was actually a great thing. Reach out. It was open, so we actually got some good number of responses. There are some initial kind of conclusions that we can take, but I'll pass to Jeremy to comment on the survey, and then others that look at the survey, feel free to chime in and also share your impression. So maybe Jeremy, over to you.
Sure, yeah. So you've got the link to the document there. There's something around 40 responses, did it anonymously, so I'm unsure exactly how biased things are or not. But assuming people submitted this in good faith, there are a couple of interesting takeaways. Well over 80% of people have no idea what they're measuring, what their measurements need to be. I think that's really important because we need targets, and if our customers don't have a sense of targets, then we have to pick and then work from there as to how good our stuff needs to be. So I'd love to tighten that area of work, probably through a new SIG observability, perhaps, which I think was turned up in the last week or so. Take a look at the results of the survey. There's interesting usage, like a lot of usage of Quen that I saw on there. Like 1 out of every 3 people had Quen deployed or planning to use Quen. I was happy to see that our target users or platform engineers, it's like, you know, that to me, that means that we're going to get good feedback if we were to go deeper around how we like operationalize this and scale it and multi-cluster and tendency and so forth. We need to find ways of getting more input, of course, and credible input, not just the numbers, right? We need people that are willing to spend money, essentially. So we'll try and update this as often as we can. The idea we're trying to do in the community is make sure that everyone has access to this data. So Carlos, for immediate takeaway, I just ran through the 2 that jumped to my mind. Lack of like what the goal is for measurement, other than make it the fastest thing on Earth, which I highly doubt is the actual requirement, and the types of models being used. The use cases were not surprising either. It's basically like, yeah, make it go faster, whether it's throughput or latency. I believe there may be some bias in the answers to that question. So those are my takeaways.
Great. Thanks, Jeremy. Anyone who looked through the survey has any first impression, reaction, or want to chime in on the survey? I know that there was not a lot of time. This just came out. I'm just curious if others want to chime in. Hey, Clayton.
I think it was a good snapshot of the folks who kind of were most interested right away. I do think I found the 30% on cloud to be, I was skeptical that was really that low. So I think we're not quite engaging with a broader segment yet. And so I do think, as we think about like our next couple releases, I'd actually really like to see us redo the survey, focus on that, as we get the word out, as we get some of these stronger messages, go out there and be a little bit more aggressive, because I think we can reach even more people. And I think the survey is a great example of the kinds of things that this community can do, which is people trying to deploy to production from a diverse set of use cases. I think a lot of the communities I see are a little bit monomaniacally focused on very specific slices. I think this community, I think, has pretty broad reach, and those are the kinds of inputs that we need to get even more participants in some of these core ecosystems.
Yeah, there's one data point to your point. Somebody said yes to like to a cloud specific accelerator. So we're already. I mean, I'm sure that was a TPU, but like, people are engaging with the periphery of the happy path at this point, and that's the stuff that is the leading edge roadmap for us.
Yeah, so from my side, one thing that I was super interested, we're making some assumptions for like the persona and even like a skill level that we're going after, right? So remember all the discussion about the deployer, how much I like ease of use, or kind of a fully guided experience versus, hey, I'll give you actually a more modular experience so you can actually use what you want. I think we're getting more signals that a lot of these folks, they are running some level, some platform already. So in a way, they know what they're doing. So I think that kind of also validates this idea of, hey, I'll make it easy to use. Actually, it's easy to just use the parts or configure the parts the way you want. So I think that's an interesting data point that you should continue to kind of course check as we release and iterate, continue to do the surveys. But yeah, so I think we all kind of looking through the data, but let's continue to share observations. Tamar?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think the area of SLOs, policies, and global cluster objective is really important. Right now, it's really not clear. There is the inference scheduling objective. Inference scheduling objective, the way it's defined, it says this is how the scheduling is going to behave. That's like a quote from the design document, and it's not sufficient. So there needs to be some clarity about what persona is defining what SLO or policy, and what is it associated with: an application, a model, a user or tenant, or it's a global cluster objective. All of this needs to be defined. And when we talk about the global cluster objective, you can say, make it work faster. That's one way to say it. But you may also want to say, reduce the cost. So minimize the number of accelerators which are being used. So it needs to be, but without injuring performance. So there is multiple ways to look at it. And I think we need to be clear on what are the possible objectives and how you define it and who defines them. So if it is the observability work stream, that's great. So I think the question is this in the scope of the observability work group?
I don't think it's the observability working group. This is intersection between the scheduling and autoscaling. We have a proposal. We're working on one, iterating over one already for the inference scheduling objectives. Now it's taking like a different, we're taking a different like shape. Kellen is working on the latest proposal. I think we can share this. Or we discussed that in schedule. We discussed it also in the inference gateway community meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the way right now when I'm looking at it, it's very inference scheduling specific. It's not looking across. We sort of need to work together to understand, because I think it's about clarity. If we say the users are confused about what they should measure, that's because they're not just interested in inference scheduler. They're interested in the overall performance, right?
Yeah.
So let's work together.
This is where the survey results tell us like who the users are, and I agree they're not scientifically valid at the moment, but we can create personas, right? That we can best guess some personas. We can have we can literally have agents that model our personas, and then have pass-fail tests based on whether they improve the persona's experience or not. We can do wild amounts of stuff to keep this thing on course without actual survey results, is my point.
Okay, yeah. It's just thanks, Jeremy. Clayton, you have a comment here?
I wanted to, I think Tamara's hitting on the really high level point. I don't think we really called it out in the project that much, which probably is an oversight on my part. Like for Inference Gateway for the last year or so, all we've been talking about internally is how people like recognize, model, and express and automate their SLOs. And I think some of that got lost a little bit in the llm-d spin up, right? We're talking about a lot of other things. But the end result is, folks understand what they're hitting. They have good best practices. When the use cases require something different than what kind of our default is, it's easy to get there. And I think that is I think to the point that was being raised, it is a whole project perspective on like helping people achieve their SLOs, which is not quite modeled in how we discuss the project. I think it's something we can improve to the project proposal. I'd actually like to take a pass at that. Maybe tomorrow you can help me. We can try to sketch out what we've been talking about and put that high level framing in the overall project.
Yeah, I'll be happy to also start working on it, but I got stuck with lots of questions. So yeah, let's collaborate on this.
Okay, great. So this is an important one. Glad that we touched on this one. Let's move on so we keep on time. Yeah, so maybe just 2 quick updates on C coordination. We probably need one more lead identified for SIG PD disaggregation. So maybe Rod, we can help there. Can do this offline. We had a kickoff of single observability, but there is a single owner with Sally. So if there is anybody interested to get more like involved, help Sally to drive this one, please let us know, and then we can coordinate offline. Okay, so on the release, of course, it's a very big topic. We touched on this for the past 2 weeks. Making very good progress. There was a decision in terms of timeline to move the release to next week. One of the main reasons that we are kind of cross-reference and syncing this with announcements from the LLM community. It's actually a great thing, right? Because this project is all about bringing the broader community together, and we're doing exactly that. So there's some things that will be announced in VLLM. So we're gonna kind of time things out and cross-reference. So just so you guys know, this also gives us a little bit more time to kind of polish some rough edges that we are doing now in terms of like the big things. But before I talk about the big things, I don't know, Rob, if you want to say anything about the cross-reference between communities here.
No, I mean, I think like 2 of the main like user stories that we're, or well-lit paths that we're, planning to kind of talk about progress against is like PD disaggregation and then the wide EP, implementations. So, obviously a lot of the work or some of the work associated with that has been done in the actual VLM project directly. So, we're going to just align with the VLM community, with the 0.10 release of VLM next week to, first of all, like demonstrate that llm-d is a community project that's really closely coupled with VLLM, and also just to help with the overall echo and messaging around llm-d, just given the reach that VLM has in terms of its project visibility and also just like the social channels that we already have established there. So yeah, that's the overall goal.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, highlights we mentioned before. I think Rob touched on a few of them, but again, the deployer, we made a lot of progress decomposing. I think Greg will expand on this. Some of the fixes to transfer with Nixo, UCX, you guys heard about this, so this is also part of what is coming. Tons of progress on the benchmarking one. I'm just kind of calling out what we will highlight, as you guys know. But new scenarios for PD and some of the automations with actually sweeping and charade plots and analysis, those are the things that we're investing a lot of time. New image with new packaging and also KV event support, more native now, so we can remove some of the dependencies. All of those things are the things that you highlight. We're going to get to the SIG update, so you're going to hear more about this. But before we go, anything else for Open Forum? Nina?
I have a question about the versioning. Did we not release version 1 on Summit, or was it not called version 1.0?
It was 0.1, I think.
0.1, yeah.
Well, we think or we know, because I don't know why I'm thinking it was version 1.
Yeah.
It's not version 1.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And also, I don't think we highlighted even the 0.1 that much, right? But it was definitely 0.1.
0.1.
Yeah,
If I may, Carlos, I think the confusion comes from mapping between the overall release of llm-d and then components. So for instance, deployer was released version 1.0.1, and that maps to like a release of llm-d for version 0.1.0. And I think this was a kind of shared practice among some of the components. We probably shouldn't have done it that way, but I think semantically, like that was the way it was set up.
That's why I'm remembering wrong. Okay.
Yeah, that explains. And I think one of the challenges again with this project, like the main components and the kind that they move in parallel, right? But yeah, thanks for raising this. We can try to clarify this in the communications when we go out with the new version. But yeah, so let's avoid the confusion. Thanks, Greg. Anything else for Open Forum?
Yeah, I had something. I don't know if we have a SIG CI or we want to start one, but we're basically starting to field a variety of people coming and wanting to contribute resources, both internally and open, about how we can do our builds, if there's interest in nightly builds. So it would be great to coordinate across a bunch of different orgs.
Yeah. There is a SIG ops, I believe, that we created exactly with that goal, but we just didn't have like a critical mass. I think that's the place, Greg. We can build that, and it's great that people actually raising their hands and offering help. So we should absolutely take that. I think that's one piece of the project that we can improve. So let's follow up in that SIG. I think there is SIG ops, I believe, but we can double check. Okay. Anything else here? All right, so let's jump into SIG updates. Maybe back to you, Greg, on the update for the composition examples and so on.
So we're building out our quick starts, which are linked there. Currently, we only have a basic example and a PD example. These are using the old image of inference scheduler and a composition of upstream GIE charts, as well as the model service charts. We will be trying to integrate with the new inference scheduler image today, as long as that work lands, as well as consuming the release from upstream GIE release v0.5.1 RC2 as soon as that lands. So they will be changing, but please, guys, we need coverage on different clouds, particularly if you could try this stuff and let us know if there are bugs, we would really appreciate it.
Greg, what is the big risk here, if any, that you might want to call out?
I guess it's just like the amount of people we have testing this is basically just me and Brent and Rob, and we're on one vanilla Kubernetes cluster and no CP. So as well as pretty specific environments of that. So if you have more people testing, that would be very helpful to identify potential issues.
Yeah, that goes without saying. So anyone here in this community, if you guys can help us test this, that would be super useful. Okay.
I had thought the benchmarking stuff was also driven through the deployer, Greg.
It was, but now we've totally redone the way that we're doing deployment, and I don't think we have enough progress unless Marcio has been kind of tracking the stuff we've been doing in infra in the back end.
I've been trying to track, but there will be some adjustment. We have that on our table to reintegrate if it breaks.
Can we put some time on the calendar to sync on that? Yes. Just to cool.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. If anything else from Greg, I'll move on to Inference Scheduler, Vita or Neely.
Yeah, that would be me. Okay, so we added support for secure communication between the prefix and the code. This can be done through the sidecar. Something that was changed is that we will have a single score for the KV cache awareness. Basically, the prefix score, only one prefix score, but it can be configured to be either estimation, which is the previous prefix score, or accurate, which uses the KV cache based mechanism, which is more accurate since it also is aware of the evictions. The other thing that we have is a need that was raised because of LWS and the labeling, which is dynamic. So we added, there was hard-coded some label for the pre-fill. We have now flexible label selector, ability to filter based on different topologies. There were bug fixes from multiple contributors. Things that were added to the VLM simulator is support for multimodal input, chat completions, health and readiness endpoints, and PD support. That's it.
Lots of progress. Thanks, Neely. Question, comments here? Okay. Tamara, Abhishek, any update for SIG scaling?
Abhishek, you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. So we are working through the phase 1 of the autoscaler implementation. In that phase 1, the summary is we are trying to port the legacy Inferno design to the community document-based design that has been shared quite a while ago. So we are working on that. Our most recent progress is on our dev branch inside the incubating llm-d autoscaler repo. And we are working to get the end-to-end system working. So that's it.
Thanks, Abhishek.
Yeah, so just reiterating, phase 1 means we're going to have multiple models doing simple auto-scaling and be able to demonstrate that it actually works when we increase the load, and the number of variants change accordingly. When we reduce the load, the number of variants go down. And so first step is still without desegregation, then we're going to work toward desegregation, and then we're going to address more complicated use cases.
Sounds good. Thanks, Tamara. Moving to the PD desegregation, Tyler or Rob?
Yeah. So I'm focusing on EPDP still. So we finally got this 1 pod per rank set up working. Secret ingredient was host IPC. So I'm going to, once things calm down a little bit, put together a doc on why all of the security capabilities, host IPC, host PID are required, so that we can start to get a better solution in place, hopefully like using LWS and subgroups to keep the security capabilities within that encapsulated. We've got a couple of remaining PRs and work in progress items through improved performance for the DPP Deep Gem case. I need to get what I'm focused on right now is trying to get an image in place using the latest llm-d work in progress PR that we have up, plus the example that Greg mentioned earlier for the YDP case, and use that for performance benchmarking, since right now I don't have a functional API server for this case. So once I get that in place, then I can do another round of benchmarking. Let's see, DBO is still in progress, won't make the 0.2 release, but will give us a, up to 2x once that does land. So that's later down the line. And then I'm trying to squeeze in some UX improvements around how we specify the parallel config, especially, TP, DP for attention layers and EPDP for MOEs. I think this is pretty confusing the way it is in LLM and VLLM right now. So trying to, if I can, squeeze in some improvements there before these features start getting used by actual users. And then last, in case you missed it, so this is the piece that cuts across both TD and auto scaling, is there's a PR up from Anyscale on Elastic EP. So we wouldn't use this directly. This is Ray oriented, but this is how do you auto scale within VLLM to within a single instance of VLLM, scale up, scale down the number of EPDP ranks.
Tyler, a quick question on the Elastic EP. Yeah, I think we just mentioned that this current PR is not what you'll be using, but do you see parallels? I'm just trying to kind of get my head around what it means for us if we can kind of mimic this with the LWS subgroups approach.
Yeah, so a few things LWS I see as managing kind of well, one, we're going to kind of do things at the granularity of a group, so DPP, and for topology reasons, we want to be, kind of auto scaling at the granularity of an LWS subgroup, most likely. So in VLLM, I kind of think let's move on.
Sorry, Tyler. Yeah, so let's follow up offline. Well, maybe you can report back in the community. But yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Please loop me on this one discussion because I want to understand how, if at all, we need to make changes to LWS.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you. KV disaggregation, Maroon, for KV events.
Yeah, so KV events, the feature was merged. It was tested. It's undergoing benchmarks. There's an example of an end-to-end deployment that can be run for testing, if anyone's interested. There's a first PR for updating the inference scheduler before the release to use the new indexer. And we'll follow that up with configuration. So that PR will have configuration and documentation, and from there we'll follow up with a deployer example.
Great progress. Yeah. And last one, SIG benchmarking, Matthew. Still around?
Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry. So we added a new harness. The main focus is to finish the whole automated parameter suite, sweep experiments for PD disaggregation. Work with Rob on that. We added a new harness VLLM benchmark just because it was what Rob already doing, and we were able to put more stress on the system than we actually did with FMPerf. But the main goal for the release is to integrate with the new deployer, having this automated parameter sweep for both dimensional deployment and workload stress, and produce some decent numbers for PD disaggregation.
Okay, just in time. Thanks, Marcio. Anything else from the crowd here before we close? All right, that was a good one as usual. A lot of things. So thanks a lot all for joining. Follow up on this in the SIG, so it's Slack for more details. And if nothing else, I see you all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Thank you.